So Mark, what are you working on now? What is TRA working on now?
Well, Charlene, for the past 2.5 years since we started the company and really became operational, is that we built our system from the ground up to be as flexible as possible. So one of the things that we've done is not only to have a system that has the ability to run ratings, audience measurement. Our system enables you to do that and be able to understand ratings by network, ratings nationally, ratings locally, by stations. However, we've always believed that that's necessary but not sufficient. And it's really when you match up to that purchase data that makes the key differentiation for what the advertisers and the networks want in order to bring more accountability and stability to television advertising. So in designing the system, we designed the system to be massively scalable. Massively scalable because as we add more data, we want to be able to scale quickly, to not have to change the software architecture fundamentally. And the third thing that we've done in the system is to open up the application programming interfaces, the APIs, into the system, so that if we wanted the system to be integratable into third-party legacy systems, a media optimizer at an agency, an ad network that's built by some large advertising network, we wanted the ability to do that. So what we're working on now is, because we have many active customers, we have one major broadcast network that's actively using the system as a subscriber. We have 6 networks, cable networks that are using the system. We have CPG companies, agencies that are using the system. Is we're constantly getting feedback from them. And like any good software company, we're actually developing the next set of features in the system. So we continually add more features around the ROI capabilities. 1. 2 is we're adding more databases to the system, other categories, other purchasing categories beyond CPG. So again, we can be responsive to our customers on both the buy side and the sell side so that they can be using the system as they grow their business to either bring more ad dollars into a network or to bring more accountability if I'm an advertiser or an agency.
What do you think the future is of television in its current state? What do you think the future is of broadcast and the future of cable?
You know, I've been in this business for, I guess, almost 20 years, and I don't think there's ever been a more exciting time, honestly, with all the disruptive technologies, the disruptive business models. The internet is now a stable platform, certainly when it comes to advertising. Over-the-top television, TV everywhere. I think that the media companies are being smarter and not actually making the same mistakes as their brethren in the music industry in terms of how you actually can create new business models around TV everywhere. But at the end of the day, that screen that's in your living room, which is getting larger and larger, it's just a screen. And the consumer really doesn't care how they get their content. There's always going to be the need for compelling content. The Olympics, NBC just had a fabulous 2.5 weeks with the Olympics. People are always going to want to watch the Olympics on a big screen. 4 years from now, next Winter Olympics, 2 years from now in the Summer Olympics, how people are going to be watching that, it's always going to be wanting to see that hockey game on the big screen. And how they got it, whether or not it was over the internet and then onto the big screen, I think it remains to be seen. I think the small screen, a lot different. You're not going to want to watch a hockey game on the small screen, but you may want to watch some clips. You may want to watch some news broadcasts. And so, but at the end of the day, they all needed to be measured. Because if it's a free to the consumer service, it's got to be ad supported. And if it has to be advertising supported, the advertiser wants to have comfortable and confident metrics on what the accountability is for the ad dollars. And again, are they reaching the right eyeballs? So again, in the old adage for an information company is that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And we're looking to give eyesight to all those advertisers, and all they need is one eye. And today they don't have either.
Can you give me 3 predictions for the next 5 years?
3 predictions. Let's see. I guess it reminds me a little bit of 15 years ago when I started the video on demand company, the first digitally video on demand company, and we're competing. People ask us, who ultimately is video on demand going to compete against? Who is it going to replace? And the one company that we talked about often at the time was Blockbuster, the video rental chain, because at some level you're sitting in your house and you want to be able to watch any movie you want to watch whenever you want to watch it. And we talked about how Blockbuster was a company that was saddled with a lot of debt to be able to support its real retail and real estate business, because it was basically in the real estate business, number one. Number two is that they were pushing out hard copies of the movies, and then eventually software and video distribution would replace that, and it would put Blockbuster's whole business model significantly at risk. I think there are some companies that are currently saddled with a similar business model. A lot of debt to support an antiquated, 20th century version of their economics and how they go to market. And so what I think is you'll see some of those 20th century companies start to attrit, as Blockbuster has today. So that would be one prediction. A second prediction, maybe somewhat related to the first, is the whole area of ratings. And I think what you'll see is the commoditization of ratings. I think that in the next 3 to 5 years, what you'll see is buyers and sellers will want to move beyond ratings, beyond opportunities to see, beyond just whether or not a household or an individual may have been watching the program and therefore maybe was watching the commercial and no idea whether they actually made a purchase of the product that was being advertised. But that ratings will actually be commoditized, and that there'll be value-added services companies that actually leverage those ratings to provide more insights into what's happening in the household. And then maybe the third one is a little bit more whimsical, since I played basketball in college and I still play basketball, is that I think that Obama is going to challenge Scott Brown to a basketball game, and Scott Brown will actually beat Obama in a game of 1-on-1 behind the White House this spring when the winter snow thaws in Washington.